It hit me before I even logged in. Something was off. The break room was too quiet. Even Tammy from payroll wasn't doing her usual loud chewing. I dropped my lunch in the fridge, walked into logistics compliance, and the air felt tight. Like the floor knew something I didn't. By the time I sat down at my desk, someone mumbled, "Bell's in today." That's all it took, just a name. And every neck in the room got a little stiffer. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. My name's David Lang. I'm 46. I've been working logistics and shipping compliance at Grayson Products in Indianapolis for 19 years. I've lived through 5 CEOs, 2 recessions, and 1 power outage that took down every server for 3 days. I've seen some chaos, but nothing like this. Marcus Bell rolled in 20 minutes late to his own introduction meeting. No folder, no notes, no handshake. Just a $1,000 suit, some kind of eye-watering cologne, and that face. The kind that already looks disappointed in the room, like we didn't live up to the hype. He talked like a motivational poster. Agility, core disruptions, future-proofing. He kept throwing words around like he was waiting for applause. No one clapped. We just blinked at him, trying to translate that mess into something we could actually do. Then came Tuesday, his second day. Bell was touring departments when he dropped into our compliance corner, looked at our global partner board and said, "Wait, isn't that our Korean vendor?" I looked up from a customs dock. "No, that's Brava Logistica. They're Brazilian." He shrugged. "Same time zone?" "No." He chuckled like I was the one being too serious. Then he walked off without another word. Since then, it's like I vanished. I handle international shipping paperwork. English, Spanish, Portuguese, government forms, port compliance, legal audits. Every mistake is a fine, or a delay, or a lawsuit. It's not flashy work, but it's the difference between smooth supply chains and million-dollar bottlenecks. Marcus hasn't asked a single question about it. The guy talks like he's here to rebuild the wheel, but doesn't even know how the damn thing turns. And now he's got this smirk when he passes my desk, like he's already decided what parts are worth keeping. I just kept going, but I felt it. That was the week I stopped being a person in this office. I became furniture. She showed up Wednesday morning like she owned the building. Tight skirt, high heels, walked straight through our row with that click, 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 no eye contact, no smile, just noise and motion. HR trailed behind her with the same energy you see on a waiter dropping off the check at closing time. "Everyone, this is Kara. She'll be joining the strategy team. You'll loop her in where needed." That was it. Then poof, they vanished like they knew damn well she'd be a problem. Kara didn't even sit down before flipping her hair and announcing, "Ugh, that break room smells like high school cafeteria pizza." Then she plopped herself into Todd's old seat. Poor guy had tapped out a month ago. Real burnout, ER visit, and everything. Before I could finish scanning my first export doc, she fired up a speakerphone call with someone she called Breezy, talking loud enough to drown out 2 rows of keyboards. "Yeah, no, we're gonna build brand synergy across compliance and fulfillment. It's a hot mess right now. Some people are literally still typing invoices manually, like with fingers. Can you imagine? I didn't even look up. I knew it was aimed at me. I still use the custom template I built myself. Compliant, approved, and 3 times faster than whatever flashy tool they want us to chase this month. At 10:00, we had the weekly team sync in Conference B. Same group every time, 10 of us, standing huddle style. Kara showed up late, iced coffee in one hand, her phone still in the other. No notebook, no laptop, no idea what we actually do. When it got to me, I gave my update. Brazil customs holding shipments till the new tariffs are clarified, Qatar documents cleared, Argentina pending 1 notarized signature. I kept it short. She laughed, loud. "Oh, so this is the corner for people still using fax machines?" She said it to the room, but she was looking dead at me. People chuckled, awkward. No one defended me. No one had the balls. I didn't react, just tapped my pen twice against my folder and waited for her to move on. But she didn't. She clocked the silence, smelled the tension, and leaned in. Next day, same meeting room, different subject. She scooted her chair close. Too close. Close enough I could smell her perfume over the Sharpies on the table. She leaned sideways, smile too wide, voice just under the radar. "Just tell me, are you always this serious, or is that just your face?" I turned 1 page in my folder. Didn't answer, didn't move. She tapped her finger against her coffee lid like she was bored, like this was a game. "You know," she kept going, "in some places, experience means stuck, not special. I didn't blink, just kept my eyes on the damn contract draft. The room noticed. You could feel it. People watching, pretending not to. Like waiting for a dog to bite. But I didn't bite, so Kara shifted. She flipped tactics like a switch, started chiming in during other updates, all flirty smiles and soft laughs aimed at Marcus. He loved it, ate it up. "Marcus, I had this idea for a digital lean-in funnel," she said during Friday's planning call. "Remind me to pick your brain later, okay?" He grinned like he was hearing actual strategy. Meanwhile, the rest of us were talking about export fines and shipping insurance. Kara got louder, Marcus got dumber, and I sat there, watching a train start to roll off the tracks. By Thursday morning, the fake smiles were tighter. The coffee was stronger. You could feel something coming, not in a dramatic way, just that weird shift in the air, like a storm deciding which direction to hit. We filed into the ops meeting like normal, 10 people, 3 laptops open. Kara, of course, brought her iced latte and no notebook. Marcus walked in with a folder he didn't open and a look like he was about to bless us with truth. "Let's talk streamlining," he said. "Non-core roles are under review. Budget's tight. We're making shifts toward agility." The room went dead quiet. People blinked but didn't speak. I stared straight ahead. Then Kara jumped in, all sugar and speed. "We've analyzed compliance," she said, like she'd been studying anything other than her reflection. "Automation's already trimmed review time. With the AI tools I introduced, we can get through 80% of that paperwork without needing the manual touch." She glanced at me like I was some dusty filing cabinet. "I recommend we reallocate David's hours toward digital integrations. That space can be better utilized." Better utilized? Not one glance in my direction from Marcus. He nodded like she'd just solved hunger. No discussion, no questions, just quiet clicks of keyboards trying to pretend this wasn't happening. I didn't argue, didn't flinch. I closed my laptop, slowly, deliberately. Then I stood. "Good luck with customs audits in 4 languages, I said, voice clear, steady. I didn't slam anything, didn't raise my voice. Just picked up my laptop, slid it under my arm, and walked out the door. Not because I was weak, not because I gave up, because I knew exactly what was coming. I've seen what happens when people with buzzwords start screwing with legal documents they can't even read, when executives think partnerships run on optimism instead of accuracy. I'd been translating contracts in Portuguese before Kara finished middle school. I'd spent nights on the phone with port inspectors in Buenos Aires during blackouts. I once spotted a misplaced clause in a trade license that saved Grayson 6 figures in penalties. But all Marcus saw was a roll to cut, and all Kara saw was a chair she wanted for someone shinier. Let them have it. I didn't even look back. The hallway was quiet. My badge still worked. I dropped it on the admin desk by the elevators, walked out into the parking lot, and let the cold air hit me full in the face. It felt good. Not because I had a plan. I didn't. But because there's a power in knowing when to step back and let arrogance burn itself out. And trust me, it was about to catch fire. I got home that afternoon, and everything just stopped. No emails, no meetings, no fire drills or urgent labels slapped on a dock some exec forgot to read until 5 minutes ago. Just silence. I sat at the kitchen table with a mug of black coffee and the window cracked open. No TV, no music, just the hum of the fridge and the occasional car passing by. I didn't expect them to call. Not HR, not Marcus, not Kara. But I knew who would. Javier. He was our lead partner down in Argentina. Handled ports, customs, ground routes, everything. 10 years. Smooth operations. Not one late contract. He once told me, "David, you are the voice they trust. The voice that understands." That stuck with me. Not in a prideful way. In a don't screw this up way. Monday morning, I was still in pajamas when my phone buzzed. "James, the meeting's a mess. They tried using an app." I stared at the screen, laughed. One sharp, bitter sound. Of course. They thought someone could just fill in, like I was a tire. Plug in a new one and hit the road. James was the only one who'd ever had my back. Quiet guy, numbers brain, respected the chain of details that held the whole machine together. I texted back, "Let me guess. Google Translate?" Didn't get a reply right away. I figured he was still sitting in that disaster of a video call. I poured another cup of coffee, kept checking the clock. I knew the time zones. I knew when Javier's team would be wrapping their part. Then my phone buzzed again. "James, call just ended. Javier didn't sign." I sat up. James, again, said, "We will review elsewhere." I put my mug down, hard, not out of shock, out of something deeper. The gut punch of knowing I was right and still being pissed I had to be. Another ping. James. No interpreter, no clarity. Kara's floundering. Marcus looks like he's been hit with a brick. I stood there at the kitchen window, hand on the sill, watching a trash truck rumble down the street. The silence didn't feel peaceful anymore. It felt like pressure building behind drywall. I didn't gloat. I didn't dance around. I just waited. Cracks always show before the ceiling caves in. Tuesday morning, I sat at the table again. Same chair, same mug, same silence. Still no call from Grayson. Not HR, not Marcus, not some middle manager sent to do cleanup. By noon, my phone lit up. James. He didn't text this time. He called, whispering like he was hiding under his desk. "David, you're not going to believe this," he said. "The doc Kara submitted, the Spanish contract. It wasn't translated right." I felt my jaw clench. "What do you mean not translated right? The AI tool she used? It flipped clauses. Legal's losing their minds." She basically gave Javier's company full control over the distribution calendar. Retroactive bonus payments, too. It's all backwards. I leaned forward, elbows on the table. My coffee went cold while I listened. James kept whispering like he was reporting from a war zone. "Legal says if Javier signs, it locks us in. Millions at stake. Retroactive means we'd owe him money. Not small money, like devastating." I closed my eyes for a second. I'd warned them. Not in words, not out loud, but in every hour I'd put into triple-checking clauses myself. You can't feed trade law through a translation app and expect the meaning to survive. "What's Marcus saying?" I asked. "Nothing. He's being ghosted. Javier's not answering him at all. Not calls, not emails." I almost smiled. Almost. James kept going, fast and low. "Kara's dodging calls. Legal's panicked. The CFO's pacing like he's gonna chew through the carpet." I waited. I knew there was more. Finally, he said it. "Worst part, they asked for you." My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" They asked, "Where's David?" Not compliance, not Grayson, not some substitute. They wanted you. By name. I sat back, staring at the wall. "What did she say?" I asked, even though I already knew. James hesitated, then sighed. "She told them you moved on." The silence on my end said enough. He filled it in anyway. The room went dead quiet. Not awkward quiet. Offended. Like they didn't just lose a vendor. They lost respect. I didn't answer. James let out a shaky laugh. "I've never seen Marcus like this. He looks like somebody ripped the floor out from under him." I thought back to that Thursday meeting, when Kara pitched reallocating David's hours like I was scrap metal. Marcus nodding like she'd solved a puzzle. My voice echoing in that room. Good luck with customs audits in 4 languages. Now, here we were. This wasn't a mistake. Not a glitch. Not a hiccup you cover with a memo and some PR fluff. This was collapse. The kind you can't fix with another app or some shiny hire in heels. The kind that spreads. I didn't say much to James after that, just told him to keep his head down and watch his back. Then I hung up, pushed my chair away from the table, and stood at the window. Outside, the street was quiet. Leaves skittered along the curb. Some neighbor's dog barked, sharp and irritated. And me? I just stood there, letting it sink in. They thought I was replaceable. Thought compliance was a button you pressed instead of a responsibility you carried. Now the price was landing on their desk in numbers too big to spin, and they knew exactly whose absence caused it. Thursday, 8:03 a.m., James, it's over, just 2 words. But they landed like a steel door slamming shut. I set my phone down next to the coffee mug and leaned back in the chair. The light from the window cut across the floor in stripes. It was quiet, clean. I didn't have to ask what he meant. Javier's company had pulled out. Official, legal, delivered through their firm in a 6-line document that James forwarded me 5 minutes later. Unprofessional, negligent, disrespectful. Those were the exact words. They named Kara specifically, said her lack of qualifications undermined critical international trust. They didn't mention Marcus directly, but they didn't have to. The phrasing was brutal in that polite, cutthroat way. Grayson's executive leadership demonstrated an insufficient grasp of contractual sensitivity and regional integrity. Translation: Marcus was asleep at the wheel, and it hit hard. $9.8 million in projected earnings, gone. Just like that. One signature that never came, one AI tool that didn't understand Latin American contract law, and one team too arrogant to double-check. James pinged again. James. CFO's not even talking. Just walking around the floor, pale, sweaty. Looks 10 years older than last week. James. PR is already working on a damage control line. something about shifting international priorities. James, HR hasn't said a word. Like if they stay quiet, maybe it'll blow over. It wouldn't. I brought my mug up, sipped the coffee. It had cooled just enough. Across the street, a woman on the 5th floor opened her curtains. Her cat jumped up in the window next to her. And I just sat there, not smug, not gloating, just satisfied. Not because they lost, not because Kara finally got called out by name, because they finally saw it. They saw what I'd been holding together for years. What they assumed was just paperwork, just templates, just something a bot could mimic. They saw what happens when you confuse a role with a checkbox, when you treat fluency like a party trick. I didn't have to lift a finger. It fell apart exactly the way I knew it would. And now, it was real. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was loud. It said, "We got it wrong." And for the first time in a week, I took a full breath. Friday afternoon. My phone rang at 2:17. Unknown number, local. I let it buzz twice before picking up. David Lang speaking. A pause, like someone trying to find the right tone. "Mr. Lang, this is Sarah Duvall from Grayson's executive office." "Not Marcus," she added quick, like that was supposed to earn points. I said nothing. She cleared her throat. "We'd like to formally offer you your role back, or, if you're open to it, a higher position. We'd also like to apologize." I waited a beat, then said, "From her?" Silence. "Or is this just a PR thing?" She fumbled. You could hear it, the soft papers shuffling, the breath caught sideways in her throat. "Well, we haven't spoken with Kara yet directly, but..." "Then you're not apologizing. You're damage controlling." "No, that's not. Mr. Lang, please. We value your experience, your insight. This was a misstep, and we're trying to..." I cut her off. "I want it in writing, a public apology, in person, from her, not buried in a press release. And I want compensation for wrongful termination." A long exhale. She wasn't ready for that. We'll talk to legal," she said, soft. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "You do that." Another pause. Then she asked, gently this time, "Would you consider returning?" I looked out the window. Same building across the street. Same clouds drifting lazy over the skyline. I didn't answer. Monday morning, I walked through Grayson's lobby one last time. Black shirt, black jeans, no tie, no folder. Just me, clean, direct. The elevator ride up was quiet. I didn't fidget, didn't fix my collar. I knew exactly what I came to do. The meeting room door was open. Everyone was already inside. James, a few faces I barely recognized anymore, and, yes, Marcus. Back wall, arms crossed, looking smaller than I remembered. Kara stood near the front, shoulders pulled tight. She glanced at me, then back down. I stepped in, didn't sit. She took one step forward, voice soft, cracking at the edges. "I owe you an apology," she said. "I disrespected you. I underestimated your work. I cost us everything." I looked her dead in the eyes. She meant it. That part was real. I gave a single nod. "Thanks." Then I said what I came to say. "But I'm not coming back." The room froze. Not one person moved. Not a paper rustled. I didn't stop. "You only saw my value when you lost it. I'm not your rescue plan." I paused, let that sit. Then I turned straight to Marcus. "You didn't just lose a contract. You lost credibility." His jaw tightened. I kept going. "You treated people like parts. Now the machine's broken." That landed. You could see it. Even James looked down. I let the silence breathe, then added the last piece. "I took another offer from Javier's company. I'm heading their U.S. strategy unit." Gasps, a shuffle of chairs, but I didn't wait. I turned, and I walked out. 2 weeks later, I stood on the 21st floor of a glass-paneled office tower downtown. New badge, new key card, same boots. The plaque on my door read, "Director of Global Supply Strategy." That one hit different. Not because of the title, but because it came from someone who saw me before the fallout. Javier hadn't offered me a lifeboat. He'd handed me the wheel. I built my team fast. People like me. Not flashy, not loud, not climbing for show. Folks who'd done the work, been passed over, got fluent in more than just language. My lead on Latin America used to run port ops out of Veracruz. My APAC guy negotiated customs treaties before half of Grayson's board learned what compliance meant. We weren't following playbooks. We were building relationships. One country, one handshake, one night call translation at a time. No dashboards. No AI pilots. We listened first, talked second, and it worked. Every now and then, an email would slip through. Grace and domain, no subject line. Just a quiet thread of regret wrapped in corporate phrasing. Hope you're well. Would love your insight. Thought of you when a doc came back flagged in Brazil. I never replied. Not out of pride, out of principle. They made their call. I made mine. And honestly, I didn't miss it. Not the noise. Not the fake meetings. Not the uphill battles just to prove I wasn't obsolete. I walked through the office one afternoon, floor-to-ceiling windows casting reflections down the tile, and one of my new hires asked if I missed my old job. I said, no. The job didn't define me. I paused, watched a cargo ship crawl across the screen in our tracking center. The way I walked out did. They nodded. Didn't ask again. What I learned in all this? You don't need a nameplate to matter. You don't need buzzwords to prove worth. And you sure as hell don't need to wait for someone else to recognize your value. Experience isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. Because real knowledge isn't a shortcut. It's not built in a weekend. And no one, no app, no title chaser, no digital fix, can automate what only years of sweat and screw-ups can teach. That's the difference. They were chasing echoes. I became the voice.